All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are completely demystifying the newly minted 2026-2027 Teacher Evaluation Handbook for Waukegan Public School District Number 60. In this explainer, we're going to break down the rules, the math, and the ultimate goals behind exactly how educators in this district are being assessed. So, picture this. You're stepping into a Waukegan classroom on day one. You've got your lesson plans completely ready to go, but running parallel to your actual teaching is a highly structured evaluation process set out by the district and the Joint PURA Committee. And this isn't just arbitrary. It's an incredibly detailed, structured system designed to monitor, measure, and genuinely support performance throughout the entire school year. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for this explainer as we track a teacher's chronological journey across the year. We'll start with purpose and core standards, then move into the observation process, check out how they calculate the final score, and wrap up with the 4 rating categories. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, Purpose and Core Standards. We're beginning our journey in the fall, really trying to understand the fundamental why and what behind the district's whole evaluation setup. Now, what's really fascinating here is how the handbook explicitly positions this evaluation. It's absolutely not meant to be just a rigid scorecard. Look at the word improving here. It actually mandates that evaluations should result in assistance for professional growth prior to any remedial action being taken. The whole thing is built on the premise of helping teachers succeed. It explicitly states that anyone receiving lower ratings is going to receive professional assistance, support, and very specific suggestions for how to get better. And honestly, transparency is key right out of the gate. Amidst all the chaos of the very first days students are in attendance, the district actually provides written notice that an evaluation is coming. But they don't just leave you hanging. Within the first 20 days, an administrator holds a formal orientation meeting to acquaint teachers with the rubric, the procedures, and the specific instruments they'll be using. Basically, no one is left in the dark about who's evaluating them or how it's going to be done. To organize a job this massive, the district relies on Charlotte Danielson's framework, breaking the complex art of teaching into 4 distinct domains. Domain 1 looks at planning and preparation, so your knowledge of content and lesson design. Domain 2 covers the classroom environment, meaning everything from managing student behavior to organizing the physical space. Domain 3 is where the magic happens, the actual instruction. And finally, Domain 4 covers professional responsibilities, which includes things like communicating with families and continuing to grow professionally. Moving right along to Section 2, the observation process. With our ground rules set and domains mapped out, let's jump into the action phase and see how this translates into actual classroom visits. So the crucial takeaway here is the stark contrast between the 2 types of observations. An informal drop-in, well, that's unannounced, it's just 10 to 15 minutes, and it strictly focuses on environment and instruction. But a formal observation, that's a whole different ballgame. That requires a 5-day heads up. It lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 full hours. It covers all 4 domains, and the evaluator makes their presence known the literal second they walk into the room. But what happens after the evaluator leaves the room is just as important. The handbook requires a remarkably rapid turnaround. Teachers receive informal observation notes within just 3 days. And this feedback isn't just a grade. It includes evidence, strengths, recommendations, and an offer of assistance. Plus, if either party wants to talk it through, an optional conference can happen within 5 days. It's all about allowing educators to immediately apply that feedback directly to their teaching practice. All right, Section 3, calculating the final score. As the school year starts drawing to a close, we transition from narrative feedback to the hard math. How do all those observations actually translate into an official summative score? Let's look at the macro math first. In alignment with state guidelines, 70%, so a vast majority, of a teacher's final rating rests on their professional practice. Those are the domain observations we literally just went over. The remaining 30% is inextricably tied to student growth metrics. This uses specific data and indicators to measure how much the students actually progress during the school year. Now, if we zoom directly into that 70% professional practice slice, you can see exactly where a teacher's energy is most heavily weighed. The actual act of teaching, instruction, dominates at 40%. Planning and environment split the middle right at 25% each, which leaves professional responsibilities at 10%. So ultimately, the math dictates that while planning is absolutely vital, executing the lesson in the room is the paramount metric. Which brings us to the finish line. Section 4, the 4 rating categories. All of that complex math and domain weighting ultimately lands a teacher on one of 4 specific rungs of the summative rating ladder. Let's just walk right down these 4 tiers: excellent, proficient, needs improvement, and unsatisfactory. We'll see exactly what separates them and look at the distinct administrative consequences for a teacher's performance. At the absolute top, we have the gold standard, excellent. A teacher at this level is developing highly organized lessons that really motivate learning and clearly address state standards. But what really sets this tier apart, like literally in the text of the handbook, is that performance at this level represents a true model for their peers. It is the absolute pinnacle. Just below that is proficient, which simply represents good quality work where a majority of lessons successfully engage the students. Now, contrasting the bottom two tiers highlights some very distinct administrative outcomes. A rating of needs improvement means performance is kind of inconsistent. Maybe the teacher struggles to engage students and needs prompting. Crucially, though, this rating requires a supportive professional development plan. But an unsatisfactory rating? That indicates instruction is of poor quality, interactions might be inappropriate, and performance is clearly unacceptable. That triggers the immediate development of a very strict remediation plan. So, we've tracked the entire journey, from opening day notifications in Danielson's framework to the unannounced drop-ins, that 70-30 math, and the final summative ratings. It is a highly sophisticated system of accountability and support. But, it leaves us with something deeper to ponder. Does a strict numerical breakdown truly capture the full, nuanced scope of an educator's daily impact on a child's life? It really highlights that ultimate tension between the strict science of evaluation rubrics and the deeply human art of teaching. Thanks for tuning into this explainer.